Today, I'm going to show you all my list of boxing games that happen to be my all-time favorites. Now, I'm not going to show you every single boxing game I have, just the ones that I consider the best. So, let's begin. Fight Night Round 4. I've shown this game before in my video of the PlayStation 3 games that I first got when I got my PlayStation 3. And I really like this game because you can break your opponent's blocks and wear out his stamina. And I also love how you can train your boxer and build up his punching power and his head and body toughness, because that makes knocking out opponents a lot more fun. So, anyway, next game. Fight Night Round 3. This I originally hated because I didn't understand the game very well. I didn't know why EA Sports actually made the game so that you couldn't break your opponent's blocks. But then I realized this was meant to have a rock, paper, scissors kind of challenge. And after I started finding out how I needed to outsmart my opponents and win, I started to grow so fond of the game. I started loving the game's challenge so much, and only now is this actually one of my all-time favorites. I no longer consider this the worst boxing game of all time. Don King Boxing. Now this is a very misunderstood game. Some people consider it the worst, but I consider it the best. There are gamers who don't think that the play control is great, but I actually think it is. I love the play control in this game. It feels much easier than the play control in Wii Boxing, in the Wii Sports game. And I also love how this game has 6 classic fights. But of course, the game could have used more classic fights, like the fight between Jack Dempsey and Jess Willard. That would have been a great fight to be putting in this game, since that was one of the greatest boxing matches in history. It also would have been nice to have the Dempsey-Tunney long count match in this game, because that was also a great match. And of course, it would have also been interesting to have had that one fight where Mike Tyson bit Evander Holyfield's ear. But that being said, this is really a good game. The controls just take some understanding and getting used to. Next game. Rocky. Now this is definitely one of the best boxing games of all time. I love the graphics, I love the play control, and I love how the game follows all 5 movies. One thing that doesn't make sense, though, is that in the Rocky 5 part of the story mode, you actually play as Rocky instead of Tommy Gunn. And the reason that makes no sense is because in the movie Rocky 5, it was Tommy Gunn fighting all those opponents in the film, not Rocky. But it does make sense that Tommy Gunn is the final opponent in the game, since Rocky did fight him in the movie. But other than that, this is a really good game. It's a real classic, and I love it very much. Fight Night 2004. There's really not much to say about this game other than it's a good game. It's not the kind of a game where you can bust your opponent's guard, but it is still a good game with its own kind of challenge that takes some getting used to. And I really like this game very much. So, next game. Punch-Out, aka Punch-Out Wii. Now this has got to be one of my favorites for the Wii, because when I first played it, I loved it. Of course, I did watch the gameplay before I ever played the game, and I do remember reading about this in Nintendo Power 10 years ago, and I was psyched when I read about this game because at the time, I thought it'd have been awesome to have a Wii game of Punch-Out, since, Punch-Out is one of the best video games of all time. But anyway, on to the next game. Foreman for Real. Now this is a highly misunderstood game. Some people consider it the worst, but I consider it the best. When I played this game, I loved it. Well, let me rewind that. When I first played this game, I loved it. I thought it was awesome. I mean, I used to play this game a lot as a kid growing up. This was one of my all-time favorites for the Super Nintendo. And even to this day, it's one of my all-time favorites. So, next game. Super Punch-Out. Now this, I remember seeing at a video store as a kid, but never got to rent or play. And I do remember seeing this game on a TV at a FuncoLand way back in the day when I was a kid, but somehow wasn't quite able to play the game. Maybe the controller wasn't working, or maybe I wasn't pressing the right button to be getting the game started, but anyway, it was a long time ago. When I did finally start playing this game on an emulator, I loved it very much. Although I did have my times of frustration with it, since some of the later opponents in the game were very difficult for me, but today I find them all to be a little too easy. And I also have to say that I do love the graphics in the game and the music and the play control. I mean, everything about this game has original written all over it, in my opinion. And I love the artwork on the cartridge very much. So, next game. Greatest Heavyweights. Now this, I love better than Evander Real Deal Holyfield Boxing, because not only is the play control much better, but the graphics look better as well. I actually love how this game contains real boxers, be they living or dead. And I also love how you have a career mode in this game, because career modes are always great to have in a boxing game. But anyway, that's all I've got to say about Greatest Heavyweights. Next up is Mike Tyson's Punch-Out! Now, when I first played this game as a kid during 2003, I actually loved this game very much. I thought it was an awesome game. At least I think the year was 2003 when I first played this game, or maybe it was late 2002. Anyway, I was in my late childhood when I first played this game. I was amazed by the graphics, the music, and the play control. And of course, I've had my times of being frustrated with this game, but only because of Bald Bull, at least the second fight against him, and Mike Tyson. But today, I find all the opponents in this game to be pretty easy. Except Mike Tyson, he still feels like a big challenge even to this day. And last but not least, World Champ. Now this is a very obscure boxing game. Not only is this similar to Ring King, but it's actually much better than Ring King in my opinion. And the reason why I find this game to be much better is because the controls feel better, and so does the hit detection. And the graphics look better too. There's even better music during the boxing matches. I think the music in this game is a bit better than the boxing music in Ring King. I also love how you can actually train your boxer and have his strength, his speed, his stamina, and defense built up by just grinding through sparring matches. That's what makes this game a lot of fun. But anyway, that's all I gotta say about World Champ. And those are all my favorite boxing games of all time. If you all love boxing games and have any favorites that you'd like to mention, then please mention them below the video in the comment section. If you did enjoy this video, then give it a like. If you wish to subscribe, then please do so. Don't forget to hit the notification bell as well. And as usual, when playing video games, always play with power.